Good morning. I said good morning. Bloody chance to be a fine thing. It's more like good afternoon by the time we're doing this. So apologies for the late upload today. I've got Northie with me, who of course is a massive part, well, one half of the Hammers Chat watch-alongs. We thought we'd have a little chat today about, I think, which is a little bit of an awkward subject. So I'll just start and let you know where I am, and then we'll see what Northie thinks about it. Emerson got an injury. Emerson got an injury against Fulham, and there was a little part in the game where I thought it was probably only about 10 minutes, and I thought he had more chemistry with Somerville in those 10 minutes than I've seen him have with anyone else, mostly Kudus, all season. Then we started to really concern ourselves, so we didn't know at this point that he was probably going to be all right for Chelsea. And then we hear that he's coming back, and I thought, well, you know what? And I have to be perfectly honest with you here. Without Emerson, we were probably going to play Wan-Bissaka at left back and play Soufal at right back. And as good as Emerson has been, and as much promise as there was for him being one of the players that would thrive under Lopetegui, I found myself thinking, I'm not sure that's better for West Ham against Chelsea. I'm not saying I want him to be injured, but I thought actually West Ham may well be better off against Chelsea with Aaron Wan-Bissaka at left back, which poses the awkward question. At the moment, Aaron Wan-Bissaka is probably our best right back and left back, but that's not just because of how brilliant Wan-Bissaka is. Emerson's been off the boil, and I think despite a lot of the people saying, you know, everything was brilliant when Paqueta came on against Fulham, Paqueta is massively off the boil as well. And I just think there's a direct correlation because they're mates. They're both Brazilian, if you know what I mean. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. They both played at Lyon. They're great mates. I think it's failing to function, Northie.
Yeah, I must admit, I kind of agree with the one. Well, there's a couple of things here, but Wan-Bissaka for me, I think had a really poor game last week, and I do think he's probably our best defender. But I think he was way off the boil. Like everything came down that left hand side during the watch along, and I was pointing it out during the match, and he was caught out time and time again. So I think Soufal on that side actually is not a bad thing. With Emerson, yeah, it's a tough one. I do like Emerson. I do think he's quality. He's kind of off the boil, and yeah, that does correlate with Paqueta, who is massively off the boil. I think since the Man City rumor and the whole betting thing came to the fore. So there's problems there, but yeah, Wan-Bissaka on the left, Soufal on the right, I don't think will be a bad thing, but they are very pacey, Chelsea, so that's gonna be a big worry.
It is. I mean, talking about the Paqueta thing, because it's primarily Emerson and Paqueta that are concerning me. We had the link with Man City. He was going to go. There was very much the messaging coming out from Paqueta was, I'm going to try my hardest while I'm here. Everyone expected him to go. We'd just sold Declan Rice for 105 million. Man City came in with basically £80 million. Now, the following season, he had a buyout clause for £85 million. But West Ham didn't need to do business at this point. So we said, well, look, there's no point just offering us that sort of value of his buyout clause. So we were negotiating at that point at somewhere between 100 million and 80 million. So I was expecting, I think most people were expecting that we'd probably settle on about 90. Whilst the negotiations were going on, I thought he had a really, really good attitude, right? I think afterwards, when the betting charges hit, I don't think he particularly dropped off then. In fact, I remember doing videos saying, this guy's amazing. It doesn't seem to bother him at all. Does not seem to impact him. He seems to be really professional. You know, even though he's got this potential ban hanging over him, he was playing really well. I felt the drop-off came later on in the season, which you can understand. It started to get the better of him. I think what is concerning me now is I feel there's been even more of a drop-off this season. Again, in a team that I expected him to thrive because we're meant to have more possession. And I guess that's not meant to. I guess we are having more possession, maybe just not in the areas that we particularly want it. And I think we're seeing him play some decent performances from Brazil. And I think this is probably what's worrying me almost as much as anything else. I'm not sure he's checked out. I wonder if he has checked out at West Ham.
There has been a drop off. I think like with Paqueta, you're not going to get Although when he very first started, he was brilliant at tracking back and doing a lot of defensive work. He doesn't seem to do that now. And he shouldn't. Like, we were playing 3 central midfielders pretty much all the time, or defensive midfielders. We shouldn't need to. But there's flashes of brilliance, and that's the thing. There's flashes of where you can see that he's trying the pass. Is it a reflection that, and I was saying this in the watch along on Saturday, that if you're trying to play that forward pass and you've got Antonio ahead of you, what forward pass can you really play? I don't think you can. I think that's a big problem. So I think behind him, they've not gelled because we're not controlling midfield, even with we've got more possession, but we're not controlling a midfield. I think we're still being dominated in midfield. So his outlet to get the ball is less because I don't think he's getting played in as much. And then where does he play it off to? Even playing it out wide, we know Bowen and Kudus have kind of gone off the boil. And they're not bad players. I just don't think the whole team is gelling. And that's a coaching thing. Like, we had an international break and there was enough players there to really try and work on stringing that together. And he's the playmaker. Like, it should be coming through Paqueta, but it doesn't seem to be. I don't quite know, and I can't put my finger on it, what Lopetegui. I still don't get his plan yet. And I know we're only 4 games in. I'm not going to judge him on 4 games. I'm seeing rumours of sack updates online, and you're thinking, come on, guys. Yeah. 4 games. It's ridiculous. I always said, like, it's 8 to 10 games. That's when you can really start to judge him, because that's it. Yeah,
I mean, that's ridiculous anyway. Let's be fair. We might not have been as swashbuckling as we'd like, but we've got a win and a draw away from home, which is damn good. By any standards, that's really good. So yeah, and that will have come from nowhere. The club would not support that at all. They are overly patient sometimes with their managers, and there's no way he's not even remotely be the most secure guy in the Premier League. So any talks of him being sacked are absolutely ridiculous anyway. I do wonder with Paqueta. So Paqueta would have been less knackered than Antonio. There's no doubt. I had a look at it at the time. They both went off, played international duty, yet he started with Antonio. And I'm just starting to wonder if there is something else going on there. Because if what you're going to do, and I've got to labour this point, I can't stress this point highly enough. Thomas Souček made 1 successful pass forward against Fulham. 1. I think, and his overall passing stats were really bad. I mean, embarrassingly bad. And if that's your answer, if you're thinking, well, okay, I'm not going to play this guy, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play Souček instead, then that does not bode well for Paqueta at all. Now, I'm not against playing Souček, but it's not like we played Souček and supplied a load of ammunition and stuck him in the box to stick his head on. The Souček that played against Aston Villa was not asked to play in the same way against Fulham. He wasn't. Basically, he was asked to play with a ball at his feet, and he couldn't do it at all. I think there might be a little bit of a problem brewing with Paqueta there, which brings into play Soler. Now, I'm not going to ask you what you think of him because I don't think he showed enough apart from some fouls. What's your assessment of the situation with Carlos Soler coming in with Souček with Souček and with Paqueta and everything that's going on there?
Yeah, it's always an interesting one because I think everybody was clambering to get Soler on. Actually, I thought Lopetegui's subs were very good. I think they were right. I just don't think the starting lineup was right, so he kind of had to. His hands were forced there. So I think, yes, a Souček, you hear it week in, week out from West Ham fans. He shouldn't be anywhere near the team. His form's probably one of the worst. I think him and Antonio they're not just weak links. They're massively detrimental to our team because I don't think they create anything. They don't hold the ball. They don't create the ball. So we're kind of playing with, it feels like 9 men at the moment. Soler, I'd like to see come on. I still don't know why we're playing with 3 midfielders. I know I've said this before. Why are we persevering with 3 midfielders? Because 3 midfielders are not controlling our midfield. We're still getting overrun. So, do we have more of an attacking outlet and go 2 up top? Because we've got such attacking players to go and do that. Drop Souček. If he's going to, I don't want Antonio there. I would like to see Danny Ings get a run, not just because he scored that, but I just think he's probably the best finisher that we have. But yeah, Soler probably needs to to be introduced slowly, and that's fair. You can't just throw him in. We're not quite sure if he's up to Premier League pace. Yeah,
no, he didn't.
No, he done more tackling than the defensive midfielders, to be fair.
Yeah. Well, I think he was given, particularly towards the end of the game, was very much given that role. I think what you said is quite telling and very, very true, which is they weren't doing either of it. So you've got Antonio and Souček up there. You think, okay, we'll do some bully boy stuff. There was no bully boy stuff. They were not put into positions where they could overly contest it and get the best out of them. When they were put into those conditions, they were out muscled. And okay, so you think, okay, well, they're not going to do the nasty stuff. Then you're asking them to do the skillful stuff. They couldn't do that either. So I found the whole thing really, really baffling, absolutely baffling, and slightly concerning. But I hope the fact he hauled them both off at half time is probably enough of an admission on his own. And what about because just going back to Emerson, because I don't think Emerson. I'm not saying Emerson should be dropped or sold. It's always a thing. That's not it. But we were told that Emerson would thrive under Lopetegui because Lopetegui likes attacking fullbacks and whatnot. And I saw enough in those 10 minutes to think, hold on, something can happen here. Mm-hmm. But in the same way that he basically did not, there was no way that Emerson could gel with Benrahma, if you remember. Mm-hmm. Which ironically, you probably think he probably shouldn't be able to gel with Somerville. And he might not be able to, but the 10 minutes, that's the best we looked. I don't think we had a really strong second half. I thought we had a really strong, however long it was, from when Emerson went off. So that's how, because it changed everything over. I think everyone had to switch around. I think we had a strong 10, 15 minutes against Fulham in the second half, and I think we ended with a goal. So I don't think we were. I thought the better team won that game. But the better team didn't win that game in terms of Fulham. What about with Emerson and the combination we could do stand at left hand side? It's not working. They're just getting in each other's way.
Yeah, it's not working, but I don't think Kudus is working down there. I don't think that's his right position. I know we talk a lot about swapping him around, making him on the right, and putting him on the right, Bowen central. And Danny Ings is a great substitute striker. For me, that's how it should be. Somerville looked like the best player coming on, so I don't know if it was Emerson looked better with Somerville on, or Somerville was so good that actually made Emerson look better. But Emerson's he's not marauding forward that I'm seeing anyway. So for me, I would stick Somerville on the right, Kudus behind Bowen. Kudus on the right, Paqueta behind Bowen. I think if you was to say to any other Premier League club that as a front four, that's a dangerous front four. I think there's some real attacking intent there, but he insists on playing Antonio and Souček, and I thought we'd left those days behind. But I will put it into context. We played 2 Champions League clubs in our first 4 games, so it's not panic stations yet.
I agree. And I'm not saying panic stations, far from it, but I'm looking at it now. I'm looking at Emerson, I'm looking at Paqueta, and I'm thinking, okay, there's 2 problems that need to be solved here. And because neither are performing at their best. And as we know, when they perform at their best, they dovetail off each other. They are, they're good mates, but they have an understanding and a reading of each other's games. So I just wonder when that's going to happen. We got Chelsea coming up. Obviously, myself and Gio will do a preview on that. How are you? You're obviously going to be doing the watch along for that over on Hammers Chat, so you can join Northie and Nick. Basically, myself and Gio. Well, actually, I won't be doing the build-up show. Well, I know Gio will be doing the build-up show. I won't be because I'm going to the game. But you can join Northie and Nick for the watch along. How are you feeling about that?
Yeah, Chelsea are a funny one. They're one of those teams that I don't enjoy watching. Strangely, they're a kind of big club, but they're quite hit and miss. You could get spanked by them, or you could win. I know you say that about everything, really, but they're one of those teams. If they turn up, they're really good. But again, they're not a team that I think gels particularly well. But they've got dangerous players. I think we were lucky. We all know we were lucky to nick a draw in the last game, but. Sometimes you need a bit of luck just while you're getting that momentum going. So I'm always quietly confident. I weren't against City. I won't lie there. But I think any other team, we've got the firepower to score goals. The defence, again, defensively, that's where it could be a problem. But I can't. The thing with me, I always think we're always going to concede. So we just have to score 2. So that's why I want more firepower. I'd rather us go at teams than try and sit back. But I think Chelsea's a winnable game. At least a draw. I think we can get a draw there.
Yeah, I do think. Look, I think we will play differently at home this season. I do. Do you think he'll start to Debo?
Yeah, that's a really strange one. I don't know why he's not getting into the team. Why he's going with Mavropanos, especially when Mavropanos was away in international duty. So that was a real opportunity to put those back four, loads of drills, get them really used to each other, and he didn't start him. I don't know why you would sign a player that good. That's the defender we were all really excited about, probably more than Kilman, although Kilman has done well. I really wanted to see him, and I just we haven't seen him. I don't know why. That's a strange one. Any ideas on that?
No, I mean, look, he was when he was a youngster, he signed he was at Toulouse, and I'd say Issa Diop was really, really well regarded at Toulouse. He was the captain. Issa Diop was a captain at Toulouse at 19. Yeah. Todibo came through, and everyone's saying he's better. He's better than Diop. Forget what you think Diop is now, but at the time, Diop was considered to be the best young defender in Europe. You remember, Jose Mourinho called him a monster. Said he's a monster. Todibo came through, and they said, "Well, this guy's better. Is better than Diop." Signed for Barcelona. He was considered to be the best young defender in Europe. Okay, it didn't work out. He's come back. He's repaired his career. Absolutely repaired his career. And then teams wanted him again. Man United really tried to sign him. Man United could not sign him because of the joint ownership Ineos thing, which I'm not going to pretend to know technically how that works, but they weren't allowed to sell him. They weren't allowed to sign him because Sir Jim Ratcliffe had stakes in both clubs. So whatever, it wasn't allowed to happen. Something like that, at least. There's a technicality. They wanted to sign him. Really quick, brings the ball out from the back well. One of the most coveted young defenders in Europe, and we beat Juventus to him. Who were desperate for us. So the big clubs wanted him. It is slightly weird. I can only assume that he's going to want him to get up to pace in the Premier League, maybe, which I sort of understand. But I think now you probably need to introduce him, because the reasoning for playing Mavropanos would be that he has a better understanding. He clearly didn't have a better understanding with. It's null and void because he's playing next to Kilman, who he didn't have an understanding with anyway, and he got caught out playing a high line, which wasn't the tactic from last season anyway, playing an offside trap that he clearly doesn't know how to play. So actually, you might as well get the guy in to start forging a partnership with Kilman, rather than the guy that's used to being 15 yards further back. So, but listen, I do think Mavropanos, by the way, started the season really well. Let me just say that. I don't blame him, but I think now, after the back of, little error against Man City, big error against Fulham, or double error against Fulham, I think it's probably time for the new guy to come in. Northie, thank you very much for joining me, mate. I do appreciate it. Disturbing him on a work day. I messaged and said, are you free today? I need to do a video. And he said, yes, I appreciate that, mate.
No props.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Sorry, say again, mate.
I was going to say on my lunch break, so I'm not going to get in trouble just in case the boss is watching.
Well, you're also not going to get to eat any lunch, so I do apologise for that. Northie, thanks very much indeed. Everyone else, please do make sure you tune in to the watch-along if you're not at the game at the weekend. Northie will be there, Nick will be there, and, of course, Gio will be doing the build-up show as well as a review straight away afterwards. I'll be there later on from the stadium doing my review and what hopefully will be a West Ham win.